The world has been quiet far, far longer than we ever expected. But mark my words, the day of reckoning is coming. We've been at peace. We've had a lot of prosperity. But now there's a lot of conflict coming our way. We've had quiet, peaceful, and relatively easy lives for a very long time. And some of you remember some harder times, harder seasons that we've gone through as a country. Perhaps you're living abroad. Some of our viewers are in South Africa, and things have not been so easy recently. You're ahead of the curve. You're entering into this season of conflict ahead of us in the United States and in Europe. Some places in Europe are already embroiled in a large conflict already. Some are under threat of others. But let's go over some of the conflicts that we have. And I'm not just talking about country to country. That's one kind of conflict that we have coming up. We have nations that are jockeying for power. But we have other things going on too. We have the banking system. We have this greed that is running through our entire economy, both in the West, in Europe, as well as the United States, all throughout the West. Australia, New Zealand, you're on board with this boat too. And basically everyone else has hooked up their cart to the Western economy. So you have this banking greed. You have a conflict of generations where there's just not enough kids. There's not enough kids to support the economies of the world. We're going to move into, as we start to realize, as people start to realize what's actually happening, once they realize what the numbers mean and how the world is going to change, because there's just not enough kids out there. We are going to hit peak population on the earth before 2050. And then it's all downhill before there. And that's assuming we don't have a major crisis, which you and I both know we're entering into a very nasty crisis in the future, in the next number of years or next number of weeks. And that could change the whole world. A nuke war would, that would just bring down the population pretty darn fast, wouldn't it? And that could happen when? Next week? Tomorrow? Could happen at any time. We have people sitting with their fingers on the button, ready to go, constantly ready to launch the nuclear weapons, nuclear strikes, and wipe out a large portion of humanity. So we may be at peak population of the earth right now, and it could all be downhill from here. We also have the globalists and the elites who are trying to bring the entire world under their grips. They want to bring both China and Russia and the United States and Europe under their grips. They think they control everything. And part of this is the banking system that they use, but they're kind of all about the power. Whereas the bankers and that system is about the greed, the financial system, the stock markets, all that craziness. All that is just one conflict after the next, and then you have like I said, the national conflicts. You have Iran, who wants to wipe Israel off the face of the map. Iran is about to have a sit-down meeting, or actually a meeting in Saudi Arabia right now. They're talking about opening embassies in each other's countries, normalizing the relations between Iran and Saudi Arabia. And of course, because the United States is such a righteous, wonderful country in the world, countries sitting down and having peace is naturally grounds for America going to war. There are war planners out there freaking out because in this Orwellian dystopia, peace is interpreted by the American war machine as war, right? And in a constant state of global war, where American troops are fighting all over the globe, is conversely peace. We're upside down world, and every word means the exact opposite of what it means. Diversity means, the exact opposite of that. And it just, everything is backwards. So we have this conflict between nations, and when nations start having peace, when China starts talking with Russia, the United States gets really, really upset and bent over a barrel. Anytime Ukraine seems to be, in any way, shape, or form, seems to be talking with Russia about any sort of peace or any kind of negotiations, the United States and Europe all start just losing their minds, because peace is unthinkable, right? Peace is unthinkable. And that's the world that we have at large. We have large ecological problems out there. Weather problems are being made much, much worse by bad government policies. We got harvests in Argentina that are failing. We're not hearing just yet how bad it is, but we are seeing export restrictions on some of their agricultural goods. We got bad crops coming in Italy, as well as Spain, as well as North Africa. Wheat harvests on the Horn of Africa, the eastern part of Africa. Bad harvests there, very bad harvests. It's a famine there. We have really bad issues coming out of China with their harvests. We got massive flooding in Pakistan and India that is devastating the crops there. And as we move into monsoon season shortly, we may see something very similar again this year. Europe is not looking good. Winter wheat in the United States is the worst it's been in like 20 years. Friends, it's cold across a bunch of the United States right now, and it's going to damage corn that's already been planted. Now, we don't know what percentage of farmers went ahead and planted their corn and are now getting bit by this cold, but it definitely wasn't projected, and some farmers have gone ahead with that, and it's going to impact their yields. We got a lot of agricultural issues out there, and like I said, a lot of this is being made much worse by all sorts of decisions. We have a whole bunch of, a lot of farmland across the United States that's not being planted. Why? Because it's being foreign owned or being bought up by billionaires who don't really want to use it as farmland. They want to use it as a protection against their wealth, or to grow trees to save the planet and stuff. We have BlackRock out there doing all sorts of stuff in the financial markets. We got a lot of these big corporations that are, let's just say, not behaving themselves, not behaving ethically. So we got nations, we got banks in the financial sector, we got generations fighting against each other, and we got the globalists, elites out there who think that they can control everything, which is the pinnacle of hubris. We got all these groups in conflicts. The political divisions inside the United States, the racial divisions in the United States. It seems like every unity effort that has been made in the last number of years has actually fractured the American society even more. It's like everybody's in a little group. I was just talking with someone at church yesterday, and we're talking about kind of perspective on news and stuff like that, because we got some projects we're working on, and I had to put like 3 or 4 descriptors ahead of kind of like the perspective that I kind of have, and it's just like the fact that I have to have multiple descriptors, and that kind of fractures me into a very small proportion. I think it's a very large proportion of the United States that kind of don't want to see America in wars over in other countries where we have no business being. We think that American soldiers should be protecting America as opposed to invading every country out there. Just because some country does something we don't like doesn't mean we should invade them. Just because somebody says something about you doesn't mean you should punch them in the face. I mean, that's how we behave as human beings, right? We realize, hey, we should talk about these things. We should get other people involved in these things. We shouldn't just go out and just use aggression and violence against people that we don't like for whatever reason. And ganging up a whole bunch of people to go pummel on somebody is kind of also considered bad form. But the United States has been doing that. We have the conflict between nations is really unfolding as the first stage of that is happening right now, where the countries are like, they've had it with the United States bullying everybody with the dollar. And so they're just going to stop using the dollar. And they're building their systems to be able to have their alternative to SWIFT. We keep kicking people off SWIFT because we don't like what their country is doing. Well, it makes all the other countries go, well, are you going to kick us off next? What if we do something you don't like? What if we say something you don't like? And that's exactly the point. They want to have alternative systems to be able to move money around without, having the United States using it as a club to beat everybody with. And as people dump the dollar is going to become worthless. And you're going to see this speed up so rapidly. It goes from 0 to 100 and beyond in a way that will take you by surprise. And we're already seeing just the front edge of it. But as more and more people see the inflation that's happening, the more people are going to dump the dollar. Not only people, but corporations, banks, countries are going to dump trillions of dollars onto the market because they don't want to be holding these assets that are losing value. And as they sell these trillions of dollars into the market and there's not enough buyers, it's going to suddenly turn into, well, not even a worthless stack of paper. It's going to be a worthless stack of ones and zeros on a computer somewhere. That's kind of where we're moving into. And we're moving into this financial phase, but then beyond that is almost inevitably military phase. There are just to think that much of the world is going to be transformed into World War III is sobering. We're still cleaning up after World War II. But those are just some things to be thinking about. That doesn't mean that we're to be without hope. We have great hope if you have faith in God and what He has done for us. You can find hope out there. Do you have friends, family? Do you have things to live for? Do you have a mission, a purpose? These are things that you need to hold on to in dark times and need to motivate you. Avoiding pain, avoiding uncomfortableness is not really a purpose or a mission in life. Who are you going to help? How are you going to make the world a better place? Because that is what's going to get you up every day in the hardest of times. If you haven't already checked out my Bible channel, if you want to check that out, we have daily Bible devotionals every day for people who have never studied the Bible or people who study the Bible every day. You can check out Bold Faith Bible. And love to see you over there. But if you found this video to be useful or helpful, you might want to check out another video from me right over here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.